Maybe I should just call these videos new books or book hauls or something. Though so far they pretty much all come from Freeboxes. I'll look at this, but we'll probably give it away to my daughter Anna. She's a very good musician and songwriter and performer. She's got like star power. Her band Sedation was so good. And she's guest starred on hip hop tracks and recorded with all sorts of different people, different sorts of music. She's like an emo goth punk who likes going to summer camp and camping. Leading, the melodic progression or conduct of any part, principal chief, guiding, directing. I bet any writer of prose that read this would get good prose thoughts from it. I might read this. It's like just reading about, tropes, basically. Musical tropes. If you ask yourself of anything, how can I do that in writing? You can make great writing and you'll get ideas from everywhere. It's a great writing device, I think. How can I do that in writing? Like when I heard that Christopher Walken always gives his characters a secret when he acts, and that he would pretend to be Elvis while he was, the farmer husband in Sarah Plain and Tall or some movie. I was like, that's a fantastic thing to give to characters or nonfiction figures. Good idea. And then I started thinking about there's probably equivalents for lots of advice from lots of places, from acting, from poetry, from visual art, that could have powerful and interesting corollaries in the written word. Because the written word, it's just it's just a medium for creating, and it can kind of be anything. You know how computers revolutionized architecture because it allowed forms like the Guggenheim Museum or the Sydney Opera House to exist? It's the same architect, right? What's that guy's name? He's an LA architect. His name is Frank Gehry. Mike Davis kind of accuses him of helping armor the world as owned by the rich against everybody else and turn it all into a giant surveillance state and an impenetrable fortress. Yeah, that said, I do admire minimalist architectural forms. Anyway, digressions upon digressions. But one time I asked myself, how could I do that in writing when I was just looking at dishes soaking in a sink? And then I was like, what if I wrote an essay where it was all soaking in a single word, like maybe time, as life is, saturated in time. And every 60 words I made sure to say the word time. It would occur at these really regular intervals, throughout the piece. And there could be 60 such loops, so it would make a full hour. And of course the essay would start and end with the word time. And I was like, then after, I never wrote that, but afterward I was like, that's a really good idea. And I got that from just thinking about dishes and writing. So that's a great method. When I wrote a little writing handbook, I did an entry on, ask yourself, how can I do that in writing? So yeah, I bet this thing's full of great writing ideas. And will probably make you want to be more musical too. That's what Robert Henri's book, The Art Spirit, did to me. I'm like, this is full of great writing ideas, and I want to learn how to paint now. This book, amazing book. It just made me realize that, painters really have to pay attention to such incredible detail, how to render every, square centimeter of someone's face, the color and light of it all. Wow. You would be a better writer if you painted also. I don't know how that couldn't be the case, because it's only you're paying attention to everything. What's writing but good detail, good accumulation of detail, noticing. The more the better, honestly. Not that every story should be told in such detail, but still, a good painter can capture the essence of something in a few graceful movements. What a thing to be able to do. So this is a cool little thing to have. That had so many stickers on it. It was a project getting them off. It's still a little stickers of the world. Something for the sci-fi section. A little classic sci-fi, From the Earth to the Moon, Jules Verne. I grew up reading Journey to the Center of the Earth, and it was the book I most wished was true. I was sick it wasn't true sometimes as a kid. I loved Journey to the Center of the Earth. I loved H.G. Wells. I read what I considered a trilogy over and over again. Days of the Comet, War of the Worlds, and Time Machine. And I read Around the World in 80 Days. That was really around my house a lot. And so was 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. You know, it's pretty cool to just have such an exceptional mind, to be of a time where your imagination just changes everything. I mean, he was fueled in part by the time he lived in. It was kind of a steampunk world with the beginnings of the industrial age, you know. And France had had balloons since the 1700s. Yeah. Cool. I don't know if I read this one, or if I did, it was only like once. I don't remember much. Jules Verne, From the Earth to the Moon. Is this the one that I hear like has video surveillance in it? Like he predicted that? I think it might be. Thomas Hardy, Jude the Obscure. Cool. A controversial 1895 novel. The shocking fate that overtakes them is an indictment of a rigid and uncaring society. He falls in love with his unconventional cousin, Sue Bridehead. Bridehead. First truly critical edition, taking into account changes. Wow, this sounds great. Has a cool, clean cover. It's crazy that Oxford University is so old that they don't know how old it is. Like 1,000 years, maybe? We gotta dig another part of the campus up. Find out. Hardy's Wessex of the novels and poems. Cool. That's what this bookmark says. A book a day keeps insanity away. Not always. I got this from an abysmal free stack at a local microbrewery bar I went to with my friend Ty. Was that last night? Yeah, I guess it was last night. But once I scraped some tags off this, cleaned up nice. And I hear good things about Zadie Smith. David Foster Wallace liked her. And I've read some short works from her that were good. Wow, this New York Times reviewer called her sassy. Dazzling, beguiling, wonderfully inventive. Smith is a master of style whose prose is playful yet unaffected. Mongrel, yet cohesive. Los Angeles Times called her mongrel. These are the quotes they put on the back of the book. I feel like these reviewers are like freaks or something. Racist, maybe. White Teeth just may be the first great novel in the new century. That's a good, wow. Oh, it's a fictional debut. Funny, generous. Friendship, love, war, 3 cultures, 3 families. Okay, I like a long, sprawling family story. Some of these like blurbs are weirder than I've seen on anything. Sharp dialogue for every race. Okay. Why did you say that? Like, how am I supposed to hear that quote? And friend, let me tell you, every race can read this book. Any race. Doesn't matter what your race is. You can read it. You're welcome. You're welcome to read it. Cool, but why are you saying that? Salman Rushdie liked it. Oh, wow. Not since Mary Shelley composed Frankenstein at the age of 19 has a bookish young woman made such an extraordinary debut. Yep, every blurb on this book is weird. No, I'm like, what's going on? But I've read her reviews and an interview with her in The Believer, and she's like a super interesting, intelligent, literate, cool voice. And I always like even if I don't know a writer's work, I'm like, I want to hear writers talk. I'm into it because, you know, they're thinking about the craft and I'm thinking about the craft, and I appreciate it. But also it's cool that we have a big like literary conversation going on in the world. I've never been to like one of those book conferences like AWP. I've always said I wouldn't go until I had a book. Like I have a book, but it's a regional history book, and I'm waiting for my big work to be finished before I go. Just got 1 chapter left. Just was texting with my next interview today. It's going to happen. I've been working on this book for 15 years. This is my nonfiction Ulysses. Yeah, I think Zadie Smith is all over The Believer. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I think I've read a few things from her and interviews with her and reviews by her. And I like that whole Believer vibe a lot. I've always wanted to get in The Believer. That's the journal I've wanted to be in most. No offense, all the journals that have published me. But, yeah, The Believer's great. It's, I submitted to McSweeney's forever. Same group, kind of. All founded by Dave Eggers. And the editor at McSweeney's said, we'll find a place for you eventually. But I got discouraged. I was like, no, you won't, because you broke my spirit. I've sent so many things to The Believer, and my work is perfect for The Believer. Some of these editors have lacked a little vision with rejecting my stuff. I don't think they give it a fair chance. Or they get hung up on details or something like that. Because I'm amazing. I'm amazing. I'm the greatest. I'm amazing. No one would ever honestly reject me or my work, my brilliant, brilliant work. These fools. spaced out there for a second. Anyway, what just happened? Well, I don't really acquire books for young readers anymore, and that's kind of what this feels like, even though Robinson Crusoe is for all of us. Illustrated Junior Library, yeah, I wouldn't doubt it's been simplified. Maybe some of the preaching's been turned down. Whoa, but this is a 1946 edition. I couldn't leave this. My kids just don't read from the cases anymore. Do my kids even read? I always give them books. Perhaps they'll start up again. Daughter Anodyne does read. She loves the writer Atesha Mossfegh and has read all her books a bunch of times. Probably too much. Like My Year of Rest and Relaxation. Yikes. I mean, I just don't want my daughter being like, that's a great idea. I'm going to medicate myself for a year and check out of life. Because that does kind of seem like something she would think about. Anyway, this is beautiful. I have to... There's a tiny weird stain on it, and that's probably why it was given away, but that's the thing about life. Nothing can be wholly good. There has to be something to ruin every good thing. The end. So that's cool. Books can teach us lessons, like Aesop's fables. They can take away things. I kid. Speaking of depressing things, this book, I've only seen the movie, but I read a book by Michael Onjate about Billy the Kid, and I hated it. I can't remember the last time I hated a so-called modern classic so much. That guy just didn't care about getting his facts right at all. It shows such shoddy research. Honestly, sometimes when people get out of their narrow little bodies of water, that they're in, where am I going with this? Their weaknesses are really revealed. I feel like I see it all the time when literary authors, whatever that means, I'll kind of have an idea of that. When literary authors attempt genre like sci-fi or fantasy, I think it's a misfire as often as it works, but everyone always praises it like it's great. But when he wrote essentially a Western about Billy the Kid, it was just not into it. It's weird when you know a subject pretty well and then you read something where the research is obviously just like mid at best. I read a couple books. I don't know. Maybe I should give that book another chance. But I liked this movie, The English Patient, I remember. It was a joke on Seinfeld as being a really boring movie. But it's all about Herodotus, the first historian, and quotes him a bunch and got me into Herodotus. So I'm like, well, cool. And I'm sorry, I don't know if Michael Onjate's alive or what he's up to or who he is or even what country he's from. Oh, he's a novelist and poet who lives in Toronto. Okay, I just didn't love that Billy the Kid book. Great, now he's going to come after me. Everyone finds people on the internet. What if Michael Onjate just never stops trying to kill me after this video comes out? That'd be weird. Oh, jacket designed by Chip Kidd. It's a pretty good jacket. Chip Kidd's kind of famous. He's written his own books that he designed that are kind of interesting, like the Cheese Monkeys. I think that's what that was called. Yeah, I like that color inset on the black and white background with that stark figure and the different layers of the horizon. Whatever this tilting thing is here, that's great. Also by him. The Collected Works of Billy the Kid, that's what that one was. Yeah, maybe I just need to let go on historical inaccuracy and stuff, but I'm like, come on. Why perpetuate wrongness, 1992. It's crazy. Why do people write stories? What are we trying to get at? What are we trying to figure out? Our own humanity. I can relate to this dark figure struggling on a gray plane. Tag yourself, that's me. Hi. It's so stupid to worry about money, but money is literally what life runs on. It's so dumb. Ugh, so broke right now. I've had this pause on my work. Now I've got car troubles. I'm gonna have to do a $300 fix. Ugh. Jeez. Just paid my phone bill and I'm like, now I have nothing. I don't know when I'm next getting any. Gosh. Just bought a little groceries and okay. Oh, life. I'm gonna figure something out. Who will help this struggling figure? Sorry. The Many Captivities of Esther Wheelwright. Oh, this is a captivity narrative. I took a whole class on captivity narratives. It's really a foundational sort of story for America. You can't really look at American literature without looking at captivity narratives. Because, yeah, sometimes people that had never encountered anything like Native America, anything outside of their narrow little Puritan or whatever world, would get taken by this or that tribe and, become a part of the tribe. Think of the Oatmans in Arizona that had like face tattoos from their time. And, it's interesting. What do these stories mean? How do they continue through the ages? Do nonfiction stories mean anything, or do they mean even more? The Light in the Forest by Conrad Richter is such a story about a kid. This person sounds like because of her captivity, captured by Wabanaki Indians at age 7. Among them, she became a Catholic. What? That's a wrinkle. At age 12, she was enrolled at a French-Canadian Ursuline convent. Amongst these 3 major cultures of colonial North America, Wheelwright's life was exceptional, border-crossing, multilingual, multicultural. Meticulously researched book. Yeah, I love that. Had me at meticulously researched book. Also, it's a beautiful, clean, hardback book. It's very nice. So I'm not going to lie, she frightens me just a little. And if I woke up in the middle of the night and this book was just propped up in my room looking at me, I'd be scared. And if it was all 3 of these books, I might have to move. Yes, we would. Nice squirrel. That squirrel, beautiful cat. Look at her. What a fluff. Maria. Here's her beautiful mother, Prisma. Once a familiar of Hecate herself in ancient Greece. She's named after an Adventure Time character who's awesome. We used to have all cats with Adventure Time names. Yeah. What is this bookmark? It's pretty cool, whatever it is. By Jules Verne. Oh, it's Around the World in... This is amazing. I just mentioned this book. It was probably in that Jules Verne. No, it wasn't. It was in a different book. What the heck? Well, you programmers of the Matrix do real good. Good job, everybody. It's great. Everything's connected to everything else. Yep. We're all characters in a novel, apparently, as soon as you start noticing any detail. Ancient Gnostics said we're all consciousness trapped on the material plane by a supernatural demiurge trying to distract us from our cosmic identity. Do I believe any of these things? Probably not exactly. Reality does feel pretty real, but I can see why people think maybe it's not. Or maybe it's just one of many planes of reality. Like reality itself is like a radio station band or something. There's different aspects of it, parts of it. We're on one channel, vibrating at one frequency, something like that. Mike, your channel gets a little weird sometimes. Just talk about books. Okay. And then I always put them away at the end of these haul videos. Should that be a tradition? I'd say yes, but I'm at low battery here. Well, I'm probably never going to read that there. I like the effect, but I might get moved for accessibility. Got lightheaded there for a second. What that's about? Great. For those of you in other countries, I live in America where no one has health insurance. And I'm also going through like a financial crisis of sorts. This could go in the antiques, but I don't always put 40s books in the antiques. If it had a dust jacket, it would go in antiques. Place for everything and everything in its place. This one has a place here because I took out a book that I'm going to give to some people. I gave away a book from down here today too, so I just put one there. It's my cool neighbor William. But I'm going to give this old book about Firestone to the Firestone Auto people that I'm going to be taking my car to. This is like a valuable artifact. Maybe their office could display it in like a glass case. One time when I lived in Boston, my friends and I crashed a Firestone Auto party in the John Hancock building. It's the only time I've ever had caviar. We just took name tags like in a movie and just went in and hung out all evening. But this one guy kept following us around going, "You don't belong here." But we were the life of the party. An institution is the lengthened shadow of one man. That was the year after Firestone had problems with tires exploding. And that's when we got kicked out. It was when we said we were in the explosives department. When they asked us where we worked. But the Firestone people here are really nice. The Firestones in Albuquerque are like a big part of like local culture and car culture. There was one on Central, not the one I've been going to, that was in like every rap music video for decades. People always cruise past them in lowriders. Albuquerque has an amazing lowrider culture that goes back to the promenades of old Spain. Young people walking around courtyards, seeing who's out there. It's a wild culture. It's cool. Anyway, this has been looking at some stuff from a Freebox. Your host, Squirrel. Squirrel, you're the host. Come here. Hey. Yes, exactly, you're hosting. And Prisma. Yes, she could stop eating to do her hosting jobs, but it's just not how she is. These plants are also your hosts, but they don't say much. It's a 1951 book, but it was written in 1910. Huh, 51. So I'm giving this to the Firestone Auto, and the book was written about when that part of the suburbs was created. Crazy. Actually, several years before. No, there would have been stuff going on in 51. Anyway, it's weird. I'm like struggling along at the bottom of life right now, but I just found out I might be on a panel about the youth of Albuquerque with the mayor, like a group. I can't say anything else about that, but it's like a local politics thing. They heard about this zine I wrote asking all these high schoolers what they think of Albuquerque at 2 different high schools I subbed at. Did a podcast episode about it called City of Sunsets on my podcast, City on the Edge, if you want to hear it. But yeah, I guess it's leading to something maybe. But I'm like, what the heck is my life? I'm like as poor can be, living like in a neighborhood I would not let my kids walk around in at night. And then it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna be talking with the mayor or whatever. Crazy. Okay, aspirated a chip. Great. Well, just remember, folks, Elvis lives. Keep it real. Answer? Yes. Yeah. All right. Well, take care, everybody. Have a great day, etc. Maybe I'll do a memoir case shelf later if I'm feeling it. All right. Bye, everybody. Thanks.